but the well, and it's not sparked anything, and it's already in a state of dilapidation. And you go in there, you can feel the building shake. So that's the reason why we're trying, or I would prefer to keep it in a something that's going to be an asset than another set of apartments. Nobody wants another set of apartments or duplexes up there. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no further citizens speak heard, we will go to the presentation, the formal presentation. Mr. Lott, if you could just summarize, and is the owner or has not shown up? Okay.
Go to them. Just a quick presentation. And again, all this is to show is that if we want development to begin soon, right now, there's nothing has happened in the current configuration that it is. There are people willing to do stuff. If we can go to the duplex pictures. So in summary, so again, this is the type of development, and again, just like I mentioned, we also got other input besides our comprehensive use plan, which basically would seek this type of development. Also, the outside person that came in, who basically I think took a drive around the city and said, "Hey," and from their experience, these are the things that are popping all over the state of Texas and other municipalities. Again, whether anything like this ever gets built, obviously it has to go through all the proper procedures. All I'm saying is that right now, this is the only thing that we can see that's currently that will create any kind of new development. Next slide. So again, it's just the rendition of their. Okay. And so there's the layout, as you can see. So they'll have the ability to have 2 vehicles per unit. Again, it is 6 duplexes for a total 12 units. And it is the understanding, just like it was mentioned, that these properties would not be sold individually. It'd be probably owned by one person who would then rent them out. These would be high rentals. Next slide. And again, this is just showing another site plan of the layout. Next slide. And again, just another layout of what it would look like, some of the greenery that was there. And so again, this was only brought to again, since we're going to have a joint workshop after this, was just to share that right now, this is the type of development that is out there that we can bring into the city. It does kind of match a little bit into with the comprehensive use plan. Tells us what we need to do if we want to start something today. Otherwise, if not, then as far as we know, there's no development around the horizon from the owner for this property at this time. So again, if we want to try to do anything like this in the future, this is right now what's all that's available from my perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if you could stay just for a minute since the owner's not here. So just to clarify, it is a for rent product. There's a long history of this being a vacant lot and a lack of development opportunity. Can this product that's being proposed be developed under the current code?
No, not
Okay,
not
so those strategies that are identified in the comp plan would need to be implemented prior to something like this.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way, right, that this could occur.
Okay, and I think, let's see. And the utilities, were they put in place by the current owner or, okay.
They were. So, I mean, he had planned it. I mean, he had every intent to do what was requested and have the 6.
So he put in utilities prior to being able by code to do what he wants to do.
No, he was intending to do it, but he can't do it because the rate of return it's not economical. You can't get a return if you build 6 units.
Oh, the utilities were put in for 6 units and now it's doubled. Okay.
Yeah, right. He would, I mean, obviously he would have to pay his own money to redo the utilities,
Okay.
but his intent was to do it. However, since 2019, he has not been able to make it affordable or economical for him or an investor to build. So
Okay.
it's,
Okay.
and we don't see anything on the horizon right now. Now, of course, things could change in a couple of years, but as of right now, he has not given us an indication that he's going to do anything. Because the first time he came to us this year was again to do something similar to this.
Okay. And can you go back to that slide that had the strategies? I think Madeline, if you could speak to it said something about, yes, that one, the do away with,
Yeah, my concern is it's just one of those things like, we deal with in the United States of America all the time is we're sneaking stuff in because we want to appease one person and then we're changing all the rules. I have a huge problem with R5. Y'all all know that. That is not a new statement for me. What we're doing here is I actually have no, this project in that particular location between just derelict, gross apartment properties behind a fast food chain doesn't bother me. It should bother people like Jack who live across the street. So it's not in my backyard. But there are so many variances that would have to be awarded to this. The Board of Adjustment, I don't think is even met in like a year. They would be inundated with, all of these different things people don't understand. Also, like we said, the utilities are already there. There's a big difference. And saws, etc., they're not going to allow you to just do, you have to get special things to go for 2 to 1. Also, what I'm looking here is I'm seeing property lines of 6 platted lots plus a street. So is that street the way it's drawn? Is that going to be a city street? Who's taking care of that?
It's not a city street. It's-
Okay, so then where are the platted lots? Because see, what now,
this
these
is-
lines are showing platted
this-
lots.
This drawing that you're getting has nothing to do with what they originally had planned to put in, like,
I know.
right. So this was just their concept. If there's, right now, what they were saying was, hey, why haven't you been able to develop the property? And they gave us the reasons why, right? They cannot build them where they feel that they can make any money. The only way they can make money is density. So they would have to vacate the plat and replat everything all over again, redo the utilities to make sure that now they have more, obviously, connections they have to make. All that would have to be redone if they did this. But I'm just saying that don't think of the property the way it is platted today and the utilities. This was just their, hey, if you want us to build, this is kind of what it's going to take. So the issue is that anywhere along, like, let's say we wanted our impound lot and sell it and let somebody build something. No one's going to build anything there unless they have these strategies implemented, which means, just like you said, they wouldn't go for a whole bunch of variances. What they would do is basically we would come up with a development agreement, a new townhouse zoning district, and between those two, they would hash out all the requirements of exactly what they're going to do. Of course, that would have to be approved by, what do you call it? The P and Z have to look at it and give their opinion, and then, of course, council in the end gets to decide whether, yes, we're going to agree with those development agreements or a new townhouse zoning district. That's just what's going to have to happen. So that to prevent them, just like you said, we don't want them to keep going for every little change. Like you said, that doesn't do anybody good. We just try to do it all up front, just like you do a PUD, like they did Balcones Lofts. You create a PUD with all the new changes so that they don't have to keep coming back to the zoning to say, oh, this doesn't meet our 6 requirement for setbacks or height or whatever. So you just create a new PUD, which is what we've done twice now here in what do you call it, Balcones Heights. It's the only way right now that it looks like we're going to be able to spur development at this particular moment. Not to say down the road that it can't happen the way they originally wanted, but that just means most likely that lot's going to sit there for, I don't know how long. I don't know. Well, the economic conditions change where they can do it. the way it was
Can I
originally.
continue with my assessment of this? So my concern for the last 26 years, that I've been beating my head against a brick wall forever, is that we keep going, whatever it is, please, please come. But we're not doing a bigger picture of economic development. This is not economic development. This is trying to fill up some blank property. And what it is doing is going against everything we're saying we want to do because we just want someone to please come and be with us. I mean, it's like I said, this right there in that particular location, I don't care. But you know, it's not even, and if they're going to draw something, draw it properly. This is, I don't know who's drawing this, but it's not professional. It's showing lot lines. It's showing 6 lots and a road. So that's not even correct. So none of it making any sense to those of us that understand what's really happening here. There's no landscaping. You know, as we drive down through the neighborhood, you're not going to see anything. You know, I mean, nothing meets anything. It'd have to be a new zoning district. But you keep calling it a reorganized townhome zoning district. These are not townhomes, these are duplexes. There's townhomes and there's duplexes. All of Embassy Row in DC is townhomes, okay? So I'm really tired of hearing that term. We're trying to call it duplexes townhomes. They're not. But you know, a whole new zoning district, sure. If that's what everybody wants and votes for, I mean, it's not in my backyard, so I don't care.
And this was just to bring an idea. And
Well,
so
I just think that if ideas are going to be brought, they should be more better thought out because people like me that know exactly what's going on with all this are going to have a lot of issues with these kinds of presentations because they're not correct. Thank you.
any other question?
Having seen this, you know, just recently, if you're trying to bring in additional density into the city at this location, I would agree with Madeline that this many units at that location it's fine generally. I think I have more of an issue with architecturally when you show something like this. This looks like a streetscape image, which it is not. This is what you would see if you're halfway down in front of each of these units. So when you look at this development proposed or concept of a development from the street, there's nothing in this package that shows the main elevation from the street, which is actually going to be a bathroom window, a window over a kitchen sink, and a stairwell. And so the treatment for what you see on the street, which is so important to Gentleman Road, has been totally avoided in terms of the presentation. And so when you're doing development like this, it's really important to look at the units. And in this case, the massing of those 2 front units. And sometimes they have to turn 90 degrees in order to speak to the street. Because really what you have is, even as you look down the street, what lives here? A car or a person? Because you can't see really the front door. And so it is difficult to develop these type of units on this type of lot, but it may be quite appropriate to do so. It needs a lot of work and to think
again,
about, you know, the street as it will be in the future, you know, as the master plan is developed over time, Gentleman Road being such an important street.
And again, these were just conceptual. Obviously, like I said, these things would go before P and Z and they would require whatever is required, they would have to try to adjust to make those. Like you said,
And so to that point, if you're going to bring something forward, I would recommend that they identify what parts of the code would have to be amended to give this body and or the council an opportunity to look at, okay, if we say we want something, this type of density, then what are those things and how does it marry with
Right,
the strategies that have already been identified?
right, yeah, right.
And if
right.
if we implemented these three strategies, would it allow this to work?
Right, I mean, and that's exactly what they would have to do. Again, that's why they don't have any construction plans. It's just a, pie in the sky. That they just wanted to, hey, this is what type of construction, no matter how you look at the densities, we just wanted to show this is kind of what you're gonna have to face in the short term. It's density. How the presentation of what it looks like and all that, they know that they gotta address that. That's goes without saying.
Yeah, well, so somebody spent, some time doing this, so um,
Yeah, I mean,
it is likely a product that maybe they've done before somewhere else and they're putting a new address on it.
yeah, that's what it was. I mean, I'm saying, they didn't have much time to work on it. They just
Okay.
something
So-
together just to show.
Gentleman Road is not McDonald's, so we need to, make sure that we're responding to the
I was still here.
character defining elements of what's important in this community.
Correct. And like I said, they probably, if they were here, they would hear that. But again, they're not guaranteeing they would even go forward. They were just willing to come here and share what what is it going to take for somebody like them? They're not saying that they would do it. They just thought, hey, here's a good idea. This is what we can do out of the box. But again,
Okay,
they
well-
know that there's nothing's in our codes or anything has changed, so that all that would still, it's still a long road.
Okay, so I think the message for us is in order to look at increased density, what parts of the code are going to need to be
Correct. Right, which is
revised.
what our comprehensive use plan
Hmm.
person who put it together said, hey, if you want to move forward, you're gonna have to do something. Because your current one just doesn't,
Okay,
it's not attracting the what you want.
okay. Well, thank you. Anybody else have any comments or? Okay,
Little comment. Do we know what the total of approximate total investment on the property is going to be? Give or take, say,
No.
okay, this is a project that'll be about $4 million
No.
investment on
No,
building it.
No,
Okay, so we don't have an idea of that, and we don't have an idea of what kind of value it will add to the tax rolls, right?
correct, because we're not, this was never,
Estimated.
right, it was never, they were never told to do any of that. This was just hey, this is what,
Right.
if you want them to do stuff, it's gonna have to be something along that way.
Okay.
Of course, again, just like Madeline said, and Slay said, and everybody said, how the particular stuff, that nuts and bolts that's a lot of work that's
That's
still.
okay, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah,
No
there- yeah, no.
factors, Just what the initial investment
Agree,
of a project. like
correct,
this
because then
would
it adds the.
be, And then what would be the
be the
tax roll,
roll, right,
value on it. to the
exactly.
city. Those are the
Because-
two questions. I
right.
needed.
Because, and that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
The longer we leave it vacant, we're not getting other than what the value. Obviously, he can eat the tax bill for that.
That's
If
right.
he hasn't done anything, so that's the only
That's
thing.
what I needed to know.
But you're right, Mayor. As soon as we can figure out what the value is, but that's down the road. Get further.
Right.
Is it,
And
don't
may-
even know yet what the.
maybe along that line, an analysis of if these were replatted as individual lots for sale versus rental product, to see where they might be on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other commentary, questions? All right, okay, I will recognize Mr. Weiss in the audience.
The only reason I have a dog in this hunt is because of the big investment I have in Wonderland of the Americas. And I'll be honest with you, some of these requirements that are being asked, and I don't know if this is a specific developer wanting to come in and build these 6 houses. Those requirements are going to be necessary for anybody that comes into the city to build. And I've been talking to a lot of people about multifamily, but also if I look back 15 years that I've been involved in Balcones Heights, there hasn't been anything built. And I think that this issue is probably more for city council than it is for the EDC. But be that as it may, I agree with what Madeline said. I agree with what Christina said. I think that a concept needs to be developed so that it encourages development. And if these people are ready to go out and build 6 units, the only comment I would have is somebody made this about the aesthetics from the outside. That's important and that needs to be reviewed. but I would be on the other side of encouraging the development, doing whatever's necessary that's feasible for the city to get this thing started, because that momentum may start the next lot to be developed, and then the momentum gets started. The lofts that were built over here were intended for that purpose, but it didn't occur. But I think any additional investment brought into the city is a plus and just needs to be controlled. But I would think it's a city council issue, not necessarily an EDC issue.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Jack Burton, 204 Vivian Lane. I want to state for the record, nobody wants to see anything built more than I do right there. I would like to not see the back of the Chick-fil-A and the bar that dumps bottles at 2 a.m. And it would be a sound blocker for me. I think it's great if it gets developed, but nobody's going to pay, like I said, they're not going to pay 200, I think it was either 285,000 per unit or 315 per unit. You can go get a house somewhere, really nice house for that price. And the other point is, when I say when they were townhomes, they're gonna pay taxes. They're gonna take care of that property, versus if they become rentals, you're gonna get another place that's gonna use it till they want to move out, and someone's either gonna, the developer is either gonna fix it up or just let it continue to decompose. So, but nobody wants to see anything built there more than I do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that was a
Christine, I have to leave. Is there anything we need to vote on?
what time?
I have to leave now.
Okay, do you have time for the budget? Since it's an
Sure,
action item?
yes, let's do
Yes.
that.
Okay, we're going to move quickly. Thank you for that presentation. The next item is the consent agenda for approval of the October 24th minutes and the monthly finance report.
Madam, may I be recognized?
Yes.
I so move that we approve the minutes, regular meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, let me pass that on the consent agenda items. Secondly, we have an update, discussion, and possible action on the Wonderland. Mr. Weiss, if you could give us a update in a succinct manner as possible, because we do have to follow by an action item on the budget, and Ms. Slave has to leave, and so that will create us not having a forum. You have?
Basically, there's no new information to report as far as operations are concerned. Things are pretty much the same as they were last month. Escalators are still a problem and continue to be a problem. And the more we look into it, the more expensive it gets. So those are issues that we're dealing with. There's been no move outs or new move ins recently. We do have a pending letter of intent from a major national retailer to take the remainder of the Steinmart space. I can tell you who it is if you'd like, but it's a conversation at this point. And other than that, we continue to struggle with the upgrades necessary to keep that property looking first class. One issue that has come up that I know the mayor's upset about or concerned about, and that is a trash issue that city apparently signed a contract obligating commercial properties to use a particular trash service. And that trash service is almost double what we were paying previously, and we're not going to honor it. The Wonderland's not going to honor whatever the city contract is regarding that particular issue. We've struggled real hard to save money and be efficient. And for us to pay double the market for trash services makes no sense at all. I don't know what the city council did. I don't know why they didn't discuss it with us. I don't know why they didn't compare our existing price to this price, but it's something that's unacceptable to me. And other than that, I've got nothing specific to report other than request the budget be reviewed and approved.
Okay.
And I've got other comments to make on that.
Okay, thank you for
Necessary.
that update. And then we're going to go into item number 3 for discussion and possible action on the 2025 budget. Mr. Weiss, if you could present that.
Yes, thank you. I believe everyone's had a chance to review that budget and have any comments, and I'll welcome any comments right now. I think we were asked for some goals and efficiency comments on the budget. I've commented on those and be glad to share those with you.
Okay, I would entertain any questions on the budget as proposed in your packet. Any questions? Motion for approval?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes.
I so move that we go ahead and approve the budget as stated.
Second,
Second.
Madeline. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that item number 3 passes.
And I apologize.
Yes, okay.
Apologize.
That'll make number 5 will turn into a discussion item only.
Okay, great.
And
'Cause I would
that's-
want to be in part of that.
Okay.
I'm
And,
sorry.
and Madeline, will you be returning for the joint session?
I have a meeting until.
Okay,
so I wish I could, I didn't have it on my calendar for some reason, I don't know why. It's been a crazy week, I've been running around South Texas.
okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 4, which will, discussion of possible action, which will now be a discussion item only to host a regional forum. Mayor, if you'd like to.
Right. So very quickly, my colleague over in Floresville. Very quickly, my
Let me,
colleague
let me
over in
ask
Floresville.
this question. Now that we do not have a quorum, okay.
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
just gonna be able to
Yes.
discuss it. I should have asked Madeline if she could just stay a couple of minutes so we can do that, because it's very, very important that we look at something like this and gather collaborative efforts from other cities, sister cities like Leon Valley, Castle Hills, Almus Park, Hollywood Park. They have implemented a lot of ideas that could be very helpful to us. The Texas Economic Development Corporation is a huge resource for projects that we are going to be looking at, and the Economic Development Council as well. I've been a member of both. And the clean energy, the Texas PACE program is really nice to have as another incentive to look at job creation and businesses to support economic growth and prosperity. So if you can see the picture behind the gentleman there, you can see that basically they're holding a roundtable discussion. And so I thought that perhaps we can join some of our sister cities and join them in a collaborative effort to come up with different ideas as to how we can work together, pool our resources together, and to see if we can make something come out of that that would benefit all our cities. And so it's very helpful in learning different strategies such as TIFs, zones, any empowerment zones, things that we'll be looking at that will give us tools to help our city progress and become more economically viable. And so that was the purpose of putting that on there. Perhaps we can do it at the council level and formulate that over for us in there. And so we would be the chair of that particular forum. And those type of forums are held all over. If you noticed in the questionnaire that was sent to you recently by staff, it has a question in there to council members and EDC. Do you have an interest in participating in educational sessions? That's what this would be. And so it's just another tool for us to get more information and then work with our sister cities that are in the same region that could provide input to help us. Okay, we got a quorum now. Great. Come on over. Let me move this out your way.
Okay, I'll make that at 4:03 that,
Let you get settled in. We're on this topic right now. So.
Okay, so that we do now have a quorum again.
So basically, what I was explaining was that the value in doing something like this for us, to hold a regional, basically, a forum and invite cities to collaborate with. Get their ideas, we get their ideas, we get our ideas. Find out where we're struggling at, where we're needing to improve in some of our areas, and then they in turn share that same thing as well. Then with these partnership organizations of the Texas Economic Development Corporation, the Economic Development Foundation, all of these can be very helpful in some of the resources they can provide to us. And like what Mr. Benford had talked the other day about, the similar to the tax increment finance zones and just tools that we can utilize that other cities might have already implemented, and they can share their experiences to kind of help us avoid any pitfalls that they went through, and they'll be able to share that with us. Then whenever we endeavor to take that route, we will be well prepared to avoid those pitfalls. And so it's a general educational forum, and I'm just asking for the support of the EDC to get something like this going, bringing different cities and organizing them, having it here in the city. And so we can collaborate together. And that's pretty much my, my presentation on it.
I would say that this is a good idea in terms of information sharing. If these other communities have already done this, certainly that's good information to have. I guess what I might want to see is where in our implementation plan for our strategic plan would these fall into, and to have a context by which people can understand, okay, well, we're going to attack strategy X, Y, Z, and this particular tool might be a good way of implementing that. The action here that's being requested is to host a forum. There's no date or schedule associated with it. It's just the concept in itself.
Yes, the concept in itself, and then the date semantics, time semantics, we'll try to get, just like we do our meetings here, Madam Chair, what we'll try to do is just coordinate with everybody and say, is everybody comfortable with this date to host it? And then get feedback from everybody and just say, yes, this time and this date would work for me. I can be there. And then we do the collaborative effort to work together.
Okay, so I would just ask that the session that's going to be held after this meeting, maybe the first one to start looking at how some of these might be appropriate. So we're not bringing communities together in kind of a vacuum, and that we know what programs, projects, whatever, or strategies that we would be implementing, that these can directly affect. So perhaps we look at it, in the next first or second quarter of 2025.
Fine. It's a good idea, and just bringing it across as a recommendation to the board. I think that it will be helpful. And like I said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on some things. So if we're going to be considering implementing or utilizing certain tools that do fall in line with the comprehensive land use plan, falls in line with infrastructure needs, financing needs, all of that can be discussed, because some of these cities have already implemented those in their strategies. So it fall right in line into what we're trying to achieve as well. It just gives us that much more education and experience of the pitfalls that they've gone through, that they can share in this roundtable discussion with us.
Okay.
To make a more comprehensive decision when we do decide to or not. So it's not committal to anything. It's basically an educational format.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I like the concept of it, but I agree with the comments. I think it would be helpful to know, what are sort of the success metrics of the cities in San Antonio? How does Balcones Heights fare relative to whatever that specific measure of success is in terms of growth, whether it's new workforce development or, property value growth or what have you. And I think having targeted people come to help kind of change the trajectory of what we want change would be, I think, more impactful. But I think just understanding how we fare relative to some of these other communities in terms of what they've done, would be helpful.
Okay,
And
so,
what I'll try to do is gather some more information on performance metrics. See if I can share some of that and then come back and bring it to you guys. We can have that as a starting point down the line.
and some of that actually can be found in the plan too.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be great.
Okay, do I?
Okay,
You
sounds
want,
great.
are you going to make a motion for this or,
I think right now it's.
or
we just-
take it
yeah,
under
we don't need to
advisement and
act
discuss it
What I
later?
see is that
Okay,
let's gather a little bit more information and come back and see if we got any more performance metrics or if it's worthwhile pursuing. And then we'll take it up at that point.
okay.
I don't see a problem with that at all.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Next item, number 5, is discussion of possible action, stay the course or exit strategy. Could I get a legal opinion on the extent of or depth of discussion that we are allowed in this forum in terms of,
Talking about executive session versus
yes,
open session? Well,
yes,
you always have the discretion to discuss whatever you'd like in open session. You have the ability to take certain things regarding economic development and disposal or purchase of real property into executive session.
okay.
Chair, I would like to make a point that item number 5 strictly needs to be an executive session, and that's why I came to the podium.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to defer that unto executive session. Next item, number 6, is the discussion on city's economic development projects. This is an FYI item only that's been provided to us. Is that correct, Mr. Lana? Is there anything in particular that you want to highlight?
No, everything pretty much has stayed the same except the property there at the corner of where the car wash is. We have received some interest from somebody who may develop that little piece. So that's promising because that's what the intent was when they replatted and made that little piece a little bit bigger. So hopefully next time we meet, we'll be able to tell you that something actually is really in the works.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, do I have my little spiel or is this enough in terms of the executive session before we go into executive session? Okay. The time is now 4:10 PM. And we are going to convene an executive session to discuss item number 5, discussion of possible action on stay the course or exit strategy on the EDC's partnership interest in Crossroads Mall Partners Limited as a decision point. So discussion pursuant to section 551.072 deliberation regarding real property of the Texas Government Code regarding Wonderland of the Americas, which is a governmental body, and we may conduct a closed meeting to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. So I would ask at this point, any persons not relevant to this item, please leave the room. Okay, I'd like to. I appreciate it. We're going to reconvene into open session at 4:48. Yeah. Okay, for item number 9, discussion and possible action on items discussed in executive session. There was a discussion on item number 5, and there was, do I entertain any motions to come out of that discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes.
So I would move, Madam Chair, and bring to the table a motion to bring the city council and the potential divesting of the partnership interest. And that would be the first motion. Is that correct? Is that what we wanted? Okay. And so that would be my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, and then the second motion that I would entertain, Madam Chair, is motion for a third-party analysis of the market value of the property in which we have a partnership in with WODA.
Thank you.
I'll
Second,
second.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you for that. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Announcements, comments, and requests. Number 10, Executive Director update. Anything? Okay. Future agenda item suggestions? I might suggest we
Motion, yeah.
revisit the item that we just discussed to take forward to city council. And might also suggest that we do a discussion item, a report on the joint session outcome. Or discussion, yes. And announcements from board members and or staff. Like to announce it directly following this meeting because it is past 4:00 that we will adjourn for 5 minutes and go back into a joint EDC and city council meeting.
And just
Okay.
for a point of clarification on the motion I made, it's a potential of the divestment of the investment potential. So it can all change, subject to change. We see a potential and huge exponential value, then we may want to be reconsidering. Okay,
Okay, make sure that
thank you.
potential word is in there.
Thank you. Madam
All
Chair.
right, then if there's,
Motion to, oh, go ahead.
Can the discussion between the council and the EDC be kept confidential where it's not public information?
We can put it in the.
That's an executive
right, Madam
session.
Chair?
Well, the discussion occurred in executive session. So under their own ethics rules and policies, it has to remain confidential.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair?
second? Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Time.
Adjournment
Madam
at
Vice Chair.
4:53. Thank you.